Welcome everyone to the April Council meeting. I have apologies from Councillor Crispin, Councillor Wilmot and Leah Davey. Can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Sherman. Confirmation of the minutes from the council meeting on the 20th of March 2021. Can I have a mover and a seconder for that, please? Councillor Collins and Councillor Crump. Oh, can I put the motion? Can I put that motion forward and have a mover and a second? A mover and a second. Thank you. Can I have calls for declarations of interest, gifts received and conflicts? Meryl Minute, which is on page 4. That all the 17 recommendations of the report, ability of local governments to fund infrastructure and services are endorsed by the council. Further, that this council's strong support be conveyed to Minister for Local Government, the Honourable Ron Hulling MP, and the council's local state member, Mr. Brendan Moylan MP.
Well, you've got to move. Is there any debate?
No debate on that. All good? Motion, those in favour say aye. Okay. To 7.5, which is 7.1, sorry, which is on page 5, and it's the Executive Services Report and Max.
Yep, I think it's very quick.
I just want to commend the council on their the heavy vehicle training and assessment program, because we've used it and it has been excellent. Yeah. It's been amazing.
Kingsley does a good job.
Yeah.
And it's been well used.
Yeah.
And as you would have seen in the budget, expected income was about $80,000.
Hopefully the funding will continue to come through the smart and skilled stuff too, which helps get people over the line instead of having to pay for themselves their funding.
And it's done locally.
The other thing I just want to commend is all the school-based trainings and those positions, because we had a health meeting earlier and that's what they're trying to put through to try and boost numbers with nursing for school-based trainees, and they find that works, and we find it is working with council, especially with the early childhood and the aged care section. So I think that's a really good thing, growing our do like that, which, as I said, is also been proven with Hunter New England Health.
Good.
A mover and a seconder for that, Councillor Coleman and Councillor Collins. Those in favour say aye. Okay. Officer's recommendation is that report be received. We move on to 7.2, which is the Organisation and Community Service Report, page 19. And Max will lead us away, so Max will take questions. Is there any questions on that? The officer's recommendation with the report be received. Can I have a mover and seconder, please? Councillor Crump and Councillor Sherman. Those in favour say aye. Okay. Technical services report, which is 7.3 on page 39, and Alex will give us a brief on this.
Are there any questions regarding the truck wash, councillor Sharma?
Are we being recorded? I would just be keen to find out how it's going and what it actually makes them.
I'm pleased to report that we've had 176 trucks in March washed down, which I think is the largest number that we've had since the truck wash is open. Average time just shy of an hour, and water use 889 kilolitres. For some perspective on that water usage, that's pretty close to what Warrialla as a whole uses in a day. So that puts the Warrialla truck wash at about 3% of the town's total usage.
Are there days that it's more used than like it?
I'd have to take that on notice. We don't get the data at that level when it comes through the third party. Aside from that, the recent wet weather has slowed us down on, I think, every project we've been on. The flip side of that is that we have applied to have a natural disaster declaration, which is current in Narrabri, Shire, extended into Guida. We've got an estimate of damages of somewhere around $2 million. And if we are successful with the declaration, it opens up a checkbook for carrying out what they call emergent works. It's a process that doesn't require any approval once the declaration has been granted, and it allows us to go and fix things like washouts in roads and simply record, this is what it looked like before, we've now fixed it, the cost is $10,000. And it's more or less an open checkbook and it's approved. So we're hopeful that we get that declaration so we can fix particularly washouts on causeways. They can be especially dangerous, and we did have a fair whack of them in the rain that happened in the last few weeks. Our Cropper Creek Road project, where we've had two contractors doing 18 kilometres of road, we lost perhaps a week of that. Because we've got a good contract manager and a fairly solid contract written, those delays aren't likely to cost us anything. There won't be any variations as a result of the weather. I expect within the fortnight, all of those 18 kilometres will be completed. We've got some additional works to follow on top of that road as part of the Fixing Country Roads project. They're the highlights. Happy to take any questions.
The Warrior, the fence between the post office and the grounds, the post office at the moment, are you happy with it?
I've had many a conversation with the proprietor of the post office. There are some timber panels that have walked unacceptably, and we have a supply of fresh panels at the depot that we're going to cherry pick the best ones from and selectively replace the damaged panels. I will note that the fence that was erected was the selection of the post office proprietor.
Just the quality of, I suppose, I think it was pretty ordinary.
We were disappointed too, and that's why we're making moves to rectify the palings that have warped. I maintain that fence, once it's weathered and the warp panels been addressed, is the superior choice for a public boundary like that. It's a better noise attenuator than Colorbond. It's very difficult to climb. You can't somebody can run along the side of a colour-blind fence with a stick and a kid playing is going to make a noise at any hour of the day. It's much more difficult to do on a timber paling fence.
Any more questions?
One question about water meters, how does someone get an appeal against their water rates if they think it's got a person claiming and you've got a $300 water bill and they usually get $30 bills. They've got their own bores, so they hardly use any.
Typically, that suggests that there's a leak on the property side of the water meter. I'll pass on Andrew Cooper's phone number to use our water and sewer manager, and he'll delegate that to the appropriate staff member.
If there is a leak, then it's obvious from the history of we're pretty lenient in adjusting the bill.
Yeah.
You should be talking to them, or Andrew should.
Just get them to contact us and we'll put them straight through, because then at least it's registered from the very moment that they get the bill, which makes it easier too.
Yeah, I suggest they go down to the tourist centre and question it.
Yeah.
Yeah, their last few bills.
Sort of.
Any more questions? The officer's recommendation that the report be received. Can I have a mover and a second of this? Coleman and Councillor Crum. We move on to 7.4, which is the business and strategy report on page 49. Justin, do I want to talk about that?
Yeah, that's just the typical report. Does anyone have any questions about it? By typical, I mean like the second report of it done. But yeah, typical since last month.
Any questions?
No.
All good. Officer's recommendation.
Oh, sorry. Yes, I was just wondering how the meeting at court went regarding. I've been that before.
I haven't heard anything, but I'll have to find out how it actually went.
Yeah, the landlord, where the meeting people.
Yeah, I'll take the notes, I'll get back to you.
Meeting at court about the tip.
They got done yesterday. That was shut yesterday for the gate implementation, and I haven't had any feedback if there was any issues, so, but I'll find out numbers for you.
Is the logging system working now?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it should be.
Well, I haven't had a message from Google. He went there.
Yeah.
No news is good news.
It was day one, so we'll see. Yeah.
He was going to the tip today.
Yeah.
We've cleaned up the property.
Yeah, I was talking to, yes, thank you. I was talking to Kerry Simpson about it.
Got surprised for you with that.
Yeah.
I've had two people ring up saying he's forwarding and going.
Yeah, he's doing exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Yes, he will. That's the system. You give it when the breaches of one would be justified. Or a clean up order to start with, but he doesn't clean up the.
Can we not give him a card with the tip?
Well, actually, they're already dangerous.
Is it true?
He'll probably be bringing everything out of the tip.
That's what I mean.
Officer's recommendation that the report be received. I have a move around a second. Councillor Sherman and Councillor Chris. Those in favour say aye. We move on to 7.5, which is on page 74. report, and this is the council's investment report by Helen.
I'm sure you're all sick of listening to me talk, so answer any questions that you have. For the loan that we were discussing earlier, I have got indicative rates from NAB. So
5.33.
so what I told you, it'll be 5.33% for that $1.5 million loan. So we've got those rates. Hopefully it'll be about that by the time we get the paperwork done. But I can take any other questions.
What's your customer margin?
Pardon?
What's your customer margin?
I won't tell you. I will find out though if we have one as a local government. Client, I don't know whether we get one.
Any more questions on that report? Officer's recommendation that the report be received. Could I have a mover and a second, please? Councillor Dixon and Councillor Cole. Those in favour to say aye. Thank you. We move on to 7.6, which is double payment of the Crown land acquired by local government, and it's on page 77.
This applies to land that has an active native title claim. You've got to pay the native title claims to remove the claim before you can move forward on title. I think apart from stating the information which going to the country mayors, I thought that was an appropriate way to bring the issue, because of the accelerated regional and rural council budgets for it. They may not know it yet. We're a little bit more active in buying land than local. I think we should also notify our state member as well and let them know what's going on. I'd like, if you're happy to add that to the resolution.
Thanks to these state-based Aboriginal land claims you're referring to, or native title claims.
State-based. If
With a different kettle of fish.
start talking about that, that's the only way to work your way through a federal claim if you walk down the track is to have an Indigenous land use agreement. I mean, we've wasted probably 5 years trying to get one over the bypass. Finally, we just gave up, and that's why we moved to the compulsory acquisition. We tried seriously to work with the federal claimants, and I think the goodwill that we exhibited wasn't shared by the claimants. I don't know. Do you agree with that?
Perhaps the claimant's legal representation.
Oh, yes. But anyway, it's very disheartening because that would have been a win-win for both sides.
The officer's recommendation that this information is noted.
That further, we close to local state, our local state.
Those, can I have a mover and a seconder? Councillor Sherman and Councillor Conley, those in favour say aye. And again,
The budget workshop.
we have, yes, the recommendations in front of us. Max read out.
You've done one.
These are the recommendations for the budget workshop in front of you. The General Manager is authorised to finalise the formatting of the following documents, incorporating any required alterations prior to placing them on public exhibition. The revised Community Strategic Plan, the draft 25-26 Operational Plan, draft 25-26 Delivery Plan, and the draft 25-26 Proposed Action. The following draft budgetary documents with the changes as agreed are advertised for public submissions. the council's draft fees and charges for 25-26, with the truck wash fees being increased to $1.65 per minute. The council's draft donation allocations, the council's draft 25-26 budget with and without depreciation, and the council's draft capital expenditure program be updated to include the potential acquisition cost of the Warrialla bypass corridor. Further, that the draft budget includes taking out a loan for $1,500,000 to finalise the funding for the Bingara Administration Centre. That the council supports the proposal to assist the Cropper Creek Primary School PNC with an interest-free loan to purchase a community bus to operate the school bus run. Further, that the former Bingara Boy Scout Hall made available to the not-for-profit local authority.
Those in favour say aye.
Motion to go into.
To read that councillor's report.
Oh, yes, we can do that.
So we'll move into councillors' reports. Moving around the table, starting with Councillor Collins.
I brought up the cooler time tip thing already, and we've dealt with that.
Just on that, 12 people went to the meeting and they're having another one tomorrow night because it was pretty wet. And
Yeah.
there's some people asking about the app, so.
Excellent.
Sorry.
No, you're all right, no problem. Cropper Creek, a bit of a waste build-up preventing access to the tip at the moment, and they're suggesting consideration for a new hole to be created. People can't get to the hole, so they're just dumping the rubbish on the side, can't get around what I was told. But they have also wanted to congratulate the council on the help with the bus and the preparation of the oval and the village for the carnival, as it was very successful, and I appreciate the assistance given. Warrialla things, the wreck ground after our little incident the other day with the car. The football club have asked me if there's consideration given to put a lock there that they can access and that the council can access, so it's locked all the time, and they've both got access to the ground. Otherwise, if the gate's left open by another party, it might happen again. We're just lucky they didn't go across the entire oval. The concrete slab at the creek crossing down near the freight depot, the Warrialla business CBD sites washed away on one side of the road quite significantly with all the water that we've had recently with floods and whatever.
That was the home street.
Yeah. A bit of a,
We've chased our tail on that one, storm event after storm event. The reason that hasn't had a proper fix is probably somewhere between $50,000 and $100,000 to actually do some nice concrete drains down either side and rock lines. It might get to the point where that has to come out of our urban budget, our town streets budget for next year.
the speakers at the football ground, we had our home game the other day on Saturday, and there's something wrong with the speakers. You can't hear the announcer. I don't know if it's a council owned system or the football club own it, but I was asked that I bring it. But actually, the ground. I think Carl's been told about it too, so I don't know if he runs that side of things, but
It certainly does.
the koala park, the gift that keeps on giving, there's a water pipe down there that's burst and it's been burst for about 6 months, apparently. If we want to fix that, we'll see where the big green patch is, they told me. I don't know if it's the pipe that goes and fills up the watering systems or
Is it a burst pipe or a leaking pipe?
must be leaking pipe. Yeah. The last one for Warrialla, 84 High Street, which is at the peak of High Street, but up from the club. Apparently there's the shrubs growing onto the road, and there was a car that they met each other on the peak and they had nowhere to go, so they've driven into the bush or the bushes to break their car.
Not have a pruned with their vehicle.
It'd be a it's public property, but whoever owns it, the bush is just growing onto the road, and it's at the peak of High Street, so it's a dangerous spot, especially for some in your eyes coming the other way. North Star, do you want to talk about the North Star stuff, mate? We've both got the same stuff, I think. You go for it.
You've got it written down there, and I'll just.
Right, on the North Star. The North Star Road to Boggart Villa, they're requesting a tar truck go up there and fill in potholes, which seem to be getting worse. The North Star Park, consideration in the budget for a cover over the play equipment and a larger one over the picnic tables. Apparently there's no cover over the play equipment. It's making it hard to use in the summer months. People stop and use. Going too fast, still out. Drainage in Edward Street, gouging out of David Street pavement where the trucks are turning in the compromised entry to Lowe's fuel depot. It's become dangerous.
Can give you an update on that one that's been designed. It's been costed. We're about to put a tender out for construction. This is on we're talking the eastern side of the fuel depot.
They turn in.
Yep. Yep.
So,
Mulberry Creek to be mown, and access to the creek if possible, on the edge of the village. At the moment, there's a barrier of 8 foot grass. The consideration to clean that up and potentially put a table there in the future for tourists to sit down and access the creek and enjoy the creek.
But I don't say this to downplay the concern of the public. Our slashers are flat out chasing 8 foot grass on the side of roads. And it's likely to be that way for at least a month or so.
I agree. The season that we have, it's everyone wants everything like straight away.
Yeah.
Has to be a priority thing.
it's the Mulberry Creek. Max, as you turn left off the Edmund Road there, towards the village. I don't know how a picnic table would go there.
You'd have to concrete it in at the very least.
Little big rain event, but anyway.
Mulberry Creek crossing on the North Star Road, sometimes referred to as the Warrialla Road, 5 k's south of the village. The concrete slab needs attention as traffic has increased. Need to check the pipes underneath that they're not clogged because the water's backfilling. And they've suggested a height gauge be put midway across the crossing because of a lot of tourists, school buses, trucks using it, and there's no indication of how deep it is.
The indicators, yes, easy. To address the concrete and extend that slab or give it better flood immunity, it's a $500,000 job, which would eat up to a fifth of our entire regional roads budget. We've been aware of that one for a while. It was brought up at a North Star community meeting, probably by the same person that raised it with you. Certainly agree that the traffic volumes have increased. It's mostly quarry stuff, but it's a difficult upgrade to justify
Without building a new one.
Yeah.
Last two, speed bumps requested for the month. The traffic apparently is like a raceway going through there and it's become dangerous.
I feel like I'm arguing with you here, Mick, and I've apologise if that's how this is presented. We had speed trailers out up on the entry to North Star from the north, and the ones that tell you how fast you're going. And maybe it was just their presence that slowed people down, but they recorded that something as high as 95% of the traffic was at or under the speed limit.
Yep.
So whether it needs to go to a speed limit review and perhaps drop it, or have a transition of an 80 zone, but maybe we can refer that to Transport for New South Wales. I think if we put speed bumps there, every truck driver in the entire area would be
That's straight.
It's actually rough enough, Alex, doesn't it?
and also, I'd imagine there'd be, especially with cattle trucks, that's going to create a fair whack of noise if we were to do it.
And our last one is a request to have the old pub site cleaned up. It's become a hazard and a disgrace to the village.
Yeah, mate. See whoever owns it to try and clean it up, yeah.
That's fine. Well, thank you.
Well, I just had the 6 pages, so.
Both been at the same event.
And just, yeah, the roads, obviously, you know about them, Alex. There's lots of potholes and stuff. Section out there in all the wet weather.
I've got dealt with that.
Councillor Bishton.
Yeah, a request by a few people about having the toilet across the road here open. It was open apparently, in front of the new building. The disabled toilet could just be opened. Was open and it's shut.
There was a reason it had to be shut for a little while for safety, for whatever works they were doing, and then it was going to be opened again as soon as it was safe.
A fair bit of water coming out of the toilet behind that the other day, I
Yeah,
noticed.
so that when we did a site inspection a month ago, they did say at one point it would have to be shut for safety, and then it was going to be reopened. But the new toilets are first off the block, so they shouldn't be far away from starting to be built. And they'll be done well before the rest of the building's done. So we will have that new toilet block.
Up the main street.
Yeah.
That's it.
Thank you. Councillor Crump.
I've just got two. This lady down the road here again. It was one that was emailed to Sol and then she's just forwarded it to me. So you might already know.
It's about the noise.
Yeah, it's threatening to send you a bill for colour fencing and they need to leave.
Well, I turn the bill, but it'll get returned.
Yeah.
I think that what she's, well, if it's the same thing, she's complaining that people across the laneway dare to turn on the radio in their car while they're working.
Oh, my God.
Well, that isn't our problem.
This is a new issue. Like this isn't.
This is the same one with.
Yeah, but this is a new
This
one.
is
It's
the,
not the same people.
Same people.
No,
this is the uncle
there's
that owns the
another one
property.
now.
Who was there?
I mean, he may well be doing it deliberately to annoy us, I don't know. But it's not anything that we would, if we have to go and telling people to turn their radios down, we'd be very busy.
It's something I'll bring up in the confidential.
And the other one was, there's a resident out on the Kalani Gap Road. When that was upgraded, his property sign was taken down. That's now
Who?
been stolen, yeah.
Yeah.
It's now been stolen. He reported it to the police as suggested by council. He was just wondering whether council would like to discuss resurrecting the sign.
No,
Follow Max's lead on that one.
well, this is basically a neighbourly dispute.
Yeah.
And the sign where it was located was inconvenient for the people leaving their property. That's why it was taken down.
Well, unsafe.
Yeah, it was unsafe.
Oh, okay. He told me the council took it down to do works.
No, council took it down. Part of the work that we were doing on that road was proper works because it was identified by our staff who were coming in and out that it was stopping sight distance to the west.
Right.
Identified a property that no longer has a house.
Right.
The house burned down.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I think he's shopping around for councillors.
That's it for me, sorry.
Councillor Dixon.
community meetings. We're going to have them this year.
I'm not sure when we'll have them, but we have to have them to do the community strategic plan.
Yeah, we did speak last year about having council meeting at some point.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's made a bit difficult because you've got to record the meetings now,
yeah, that's right.
so it makes it very hard to go into those places.
Yeah, that's right.
Seriously? You got to record.
Not the community meeting.
Not the community meetings, only council meetings.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, not community meetings, only council meetings. Because we were going to, remember we said we might have been able to have a council meeting out there instead of community meeting.
Improving transparency stops us being transparent.
So we can still have community meetings out there.
Yeah.
We just can't have a council meeting out there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So we still have our community meetings out there. The villages.
Yeah, that's
There's just two things too. So back on Copper Creek, huge thanks for the council for helping out for the rugby gala days. They've got like 300 people there, I think.
Yeah.
And the same for the help and support for the Night of the Star. I think they got nearly 300 people at that event too.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you.
And the Warrior Wasps came away. The rugby team.
Gerard came out of retirement again.
No,
Oh,
we did not. He was just coaching, managing. Rugby.
Now, we're going to go into a confidential notice so that the council resolve into confidential session in view of the whole and then public interest in accordance with section 10A2 of the Public Act 1993. Public is excluded from the meeting to consider items listed on the agenda. And I have a mover and a second. Councillor Alan Taxon. Thank you. And now adoption of the recommendations of the council of the confidential session. The recommendations are that the council recommendations of the confidential session are.
I guess I should read it now. For the, is it back on?
Yep.
For the confidential organisation and community services report, the recommendation from the committee is that the report be received. For the recruitment information, the recommendation is that the information is open. Whatever it said.
Have a mover and a seconder for that. Councillor Sherman and Councillor, those in favour say aye. And meeting closed at 2:15 on Tuesday, the 8th of April.